Hello and welcome to the next in our series of Earlsdon Park Village Wellbeing videos. It's Michael again here in the library once more for this video. This will be quite a short one. We're going to expand upon step 2 in our 5 steps to mental wellbeing that have gone out in your wellbeing packs, which should be either coming through your door or you will have got them through your email. So we'll think a bit about this step and also more broadly about how to plan activities and organise our time in the current environment. Now, doing one thing at a time. This is another really simple way to boost our mood, because it's when we can be really wholly present for an activity, really there with what we're doing, that we find those activities most satisfying, most enjoyable. Instead, stress comes to mind when we are bringing to mind everything that we have to do at once, when we are doing one thing but in our head we're elsewhere, we're thinking about what we need to do later, we're thinking about the long to-do list, we're stuck in our stories. So focusing as best as possible on just doing one thing at a time in a self-contained way and really being there for that activity is such a useful way of supporting our mental well-being. So when we're performing a task, we want to see if we can sort of contain that task, contain ourselves within that moment. So whether that be just washing the dishes, whether it be tidying the house, whether it be standing out on the balcony, we want to really see if we can be wholly there for that activity, really become interested in what that's like, get curious, what can we see, what can we hear, what can we feel in this situation. We might even drop into all our senses in sequence. When we're preparing the vegetables, we might really try and see exactly what this situation looks like, all the colours, all the gleaming of the knives, of the implements we're using, really try and experience all the smells, all the feel of the vegetables, and even the tastes. So we're seeing if we can maybe ask questions about what we're doing, get curious about what we're doing to help us really stay with that particular activity. Now, another way to get practical, to help ourselves to do one thing at a time is to, again, do something very simple, to make a list. To make a list of what we need to do. Getting everything out of our head and onto paper takes off that pressure from us to have to store everything ourselves and keep running over the mental to-do list. Instead, we can just get all that out there onto something else, take that off our minds. So we can make a list of things we need to do. We can make these tasks as specific as possible, things that you know when you've done them, and they're achievable tasks, small achievable tasks, and you might also tick them off as you go, and maybe at the end of the day come back to the list and see all the things that you've done. Often we make the big to-do list and we think about everything that needs to be done, and then we don't later on reflect upon all the things that we have done and all the accomplishments we've achieved in the day. So at the end of the day we can look over our to-do lists again and really recognise quite how much we've got through. And as we work through that list, we just focus upon one thing at a time. We, as best as possible, contain ourselves within each particular item. Now, the situation that we're in, where we are restricted in our activities, it doesn't mean also that we can't think ahead a little more and set some goals and think a bit more about longer term things. It doesn't all have to be tiny little chores that we have to focus upon. This situation still gives us some potential to set goals, whether these be short-term or long-term goals. In the short term, we can think about maybe, what does this situation, this lockdown, all this time actually allow me to reconnect with? There might be things that we can come back to in these times that we have fallen out of touch with, things that we like to reconnect with, whether that's things like keeping a diary, getting stuck into doing some writing that we'd always wanted to do, taking up some artwork once more, maybe reading about a particular topic, ringing a particular relative we've not spoken with. We can really formulate some short-term goals that this situation gives us time to achieve, which maybe we wouldn't have got to if we didn't find ourselves in the place we are now. But we can also make use of this time to set some longer term goals. In fact, a lot of people in these times find themselves reflecting upon what they really do find valuable. When things are taken away and we have a bit more time to think, it can be easy to get back in touch with what we really do value and what we really do find interesting, what is important for us. So we can spend a bit of time also making use of this quiet, this period of stillness, to think about what we really would like to do in the future. Maybe there's some things that we don't need to do anymore, and we recognise that we don't really miss those things. But maybe there are some things that this situation helps us to recognise as important to us as well. So we can create some short-term and some long-term goals, and we can keep up our to-do list going forwards. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you very much. See you again next time.